It's Tuesday, July 16th, 2024. Donald Trump has his running mate. He's now officially the Republican Party nominee for a third time. And Joe Biden slogs through another interview next on the AM Update.
Madam Secretary and everybody in this great city, on behalf of our entire family, and on behalf of the 125 delegates in the unbelievable state of Florida, we hereby nominate every single one of them for the greatest president that's ever lived, and that's Donald J. Trump. Hereby declaring him the Republican nominee for president of the United States of America.
So that was the moment at the Republican National Convention yesterday that got underway yesterday, that Donald Trump became the nominee of that party for the third consecutive time. And this happened less than 48 hours after he was nearly shot and killed in a failed assassination attempt. Florida's delegation put the former president and perhaps future president over the top again. MSNBC was also at the convention and wasted no time trying to pin Don Trump Jr. down on the fact he's a racist or something.
Well, we continue to see policies like separating 5,000 children deliberately from their parents.
You mean the Obama administration?
You know they didn't do that, sir.
Okay, sure.
Will there be a second family separation policy?
It's MSDNC, so I expect nothing less from you clowns. Even today, even 48 hours later, you couldn't wait. You couldn't wait with your lies and with your nonsense. So just get out of here.
Yeah, you think you hate the media. You do not hate the media enough. Don Trump Jr. was the voice you heard there. Also notable at the convention yesterday, before we get to the other big thing, Mitch McConnell of Kentucky read off his delegation's pledge to Donald Trump. Here's what happened.
Madam Chairman, the Commonwealth of Kentucky proudly cast 46 votes for the next president, Donald J. Trump.
Just kidding. Mercilessly booed. Mercilessly booed. Of course, Donald Trump chose Ohio Senator and author of Hillbilly, Elegy, J.D. Vance, to be his running mate. That was the other big news yesterday as well. It was widely speculated, especially as we got closer to the convention, that Vance was going to be the pick. He and Don Trump Jr. are very tight, and indeed, that's the direction that Donald Trump went. Of the short list options that were being bandied about for weeks now, J.D. Vance has probably got to be one of the better options. Here is J.D. Vance in his own words, telling you who he is and what the meaning of Hillbilly Elegy was.
I wrote Hillbilly Elegy because I wanted to give people a sense of what it was like to live in a community like mine. I didn't think a whole lot of stories were told about white working class Americans. I didn't think a lot of stories were told about people who were struggling with some of the problems we were struggling with, joblessness, drug addiction, and so forth. And I thought that I could tell a story that would make people understand my family a little bit better, and maybe in the process, understand the struggles of a lot of families in Middletown and the state of Ohio more broadly.
JD carries where he came from everywhere with him. And he talked all the time about how much he loved Middletown and Ohio and his family. And he would tell me all of these stories about why it was the greatest place in the world. In his mind, this is the center of the universe. And that's one of the reasons that he was so enthusiastic about bringing his whole family back here.
I am from Ohio. I grew up in this state. I left to join the Marine Corps, and I came back to build a business and to raise a family because we wanted to raise our family in a place that's beautiful, that has great people, and that has great values. And this is my home. I love this place, and I care about it.
These are his people. This is where he's from. These are the people who carried him through difficult times in life. And he really believes, and I believe that if he can get himself into a position to make a difference for them, he will.
I'm running for U.S. Senate because the people that I grew up around, the people across the state of Ohio who are trying to achieve the American dream, they actually need somebody to fight for them. Right now in Ohio, people who are working hard, they're playing by the rules, they're trying to get ahead, they're trying to make a better life for their children. The leaders of this country think they're stupid, they think they're bigoted, they judge their viewpoints, they're shipping their jobs overseas. No one is fighting for working and middle-class Ohioans who are just trying to build a good life for themselves. I want to be the person who's fighting for them. We are a good country with good people, and when we support each other, we actually can accomplish great things.
J.D. Vance's story is both powerful and sad, given that his background is probably more ubiquitous in our country, especially in Rust Belt states than you might like to admit. And like I said, you could do a lot worse, I believe, than J.D. Vance. There are concerns. He has softened his stance on baby killing. That's a big deal. And let's not pretend that it's not, but I'd rather take my chances in a foxhole with somebody like J.D. Vance than a Mike Pence. At the White House, Joe Biden has instructed the Secret Service to start giving protection to one RFK Jr. independent presidential candidate. Here is Alejandro Mayorkas, Homeland Security Secretary.
In light of this weekend's events, the President has directed me to work with the Secret Service to provide protection to Robert Kennedy Jr.
So that is a positive move and something that obviously needed to happen. Also at the White House, Karine Jean-Pierre, White House press secretary, was asked whether or not the harmful and inflammatory rhetoric that the White House has repeatedly engaged in regarding the former president, if they're going to keep doing that.
Just last week in Michigan, President Biden called Trump a threat to this nation. Should we expect that he will not be calling out Trump with that kind of rhetoric going forward?
So what I will say is that it is important. Right, we believe is important to continue to forcefully speak against any type of political violence. That is what the president believes. And we do not want to politicize this moment. Politicizing this moment is unacceptable. We believe, and the president believes, you heard from him in a very clear statement last night about the importance of uniting this country, the importance of continuing to do so, and that we cannot tear America apart to score political points.
Do you ever get the sense that she hates her job? No? Yeah, I don't either. I think she's just that far gone. Also, Joe Biden was interviewed by Lester Holt on NBC News, and he was asked about his own inflammatory rhetoric.
You called your opponent an existential threat on a call a week ago. You said it's time to put Trump in the bullseye. There's some dispute about the context, but I think you appreciate that.
I didn't say crosshairs. I was talking about focus on.
That wasn't the question. You said you put him in the bullseye. It was time to put him in the bullseye, Mr. President. I didn't say put him in the crosshairs.
Look, the truth of the matter was, what I guess I was talking about at the time was there was very little focus on Trump's agenda.
Yeah, the term is bullseye.
It was a mistake to use the word. I didn't say crosshairs. I meant bullseye. I meant focus on him. Focus on what he's doing.
Okay. Also, go back to the events over the weekend in Pennsylvania. We now know a local law enforcement officer actually climbed onto the roof and found the would-be assassin, Thomas Matthew Crooks, who then pointed a rifle at the officer as he was climbing up the ladder. The officer retreated down the ladder, and the gunman then quickly fired towards Donald Trump. Jack Black of Tenacious D fame. He's a singer, actor, producer. He had a concert in Canada over the weekend where he said this.
Don't miss Trump next time.
Just absolutely evil and wicked, and they're telling you who they are all the time. And finally this, don't look now, but the Teamsters Union might not make an endorsement this election cycle. Here's Teamsters President Sean O'Brien on Fox News yesterday discussing the pick of J.D. Vance for vice president.
J.D. Vance, the short time that we've worked together, he's been great on Teamster issues. He has co-sponsored an airline manufacturing bill that addresses outsourcing of critical airline maintenance to China. He's also supported paid sick leave for our railroad workers. If you remember that situation a couple of years ago where they weren't getting sick time, he stepped right up. He's also been very vocal and supportive of holding employers accountable who try and skirt their obligation under an independent contractor model known as DSP. So he's been right there on all our issues. We've publicly stated it. And look, at this day and age, there's nothing better than having a U.S. Marine represented as a vice president candidate.
That is Sean O'Brien, president of the Teamsters Union. Elsewhere in that interview, O'Brien also said he's not committed to supporting either candidate, Donald Trump or Joe Biden, this election cycle. That would be somewhat unprecedented in modern days. The Teamsters Union, obviously a mammoth in organized labor. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something if the Teamsters Union did not endorse this cycle or possibly endorsed Donald Trump? This guy was actually not at all hostile towards Donald Trump. In fact, he was very complimentary towards him. Who knows, that could be a big deal on the radar. So much news, kind of singularly focused the last couple of days. Hope to be back somewhat to regular order tomorrow. I'm Aaron McIntyre, and this is the AM Update.